Okay, welcome. We had problems with the original schedule and the live that I had there. Nobody could see me or hear me. So we're going to wait just a couple seconds to see if people make it over to this one. And we'll just wait a couple seconds here and see if people can migrate. I was having problems. I don't know why it is, but half the time when I schedule a live on just straight on YouTube and then I go live, it doesn't pick up my camera or my microphone. So, sue me, or can you see me and hear me? All right, Scott was number one on the other one. He's here. He says 5x5. We're good to go. Yay! Thank you. Okay, we're going to wait just a minute because we had a couple more people who were on the other one who couldn't see me or hear me, and we'll wait for them to migrate over if they choose to, and we'll start from there. In the meantime, how about some news? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Grand Ayatollah has issued a fatwa for the elimination of the heads of state of two different countries, the United States and Israel. So, hi, Little Lone Pepper, welcome. And Scott Hummer was number one. Sue Me is here as well. Sue Me's fresh off of vacation, so thank you for being here. And but anyhow, so evidently we are not. What I'm hearing is that President Trump negotiated the ceasefire with the army, the Iranian army, and not the IRGC. Oh, Sumi's still on vacation. Okay. And not the IRGC or the Grand Ayatollah, so they don't feel that they have any need to honor that. I said this Thursday night, or was it Saturday? I said it on my Saturday pantry haul that don't trust them. Since 1979, they have not kept a single agreement. And here we are, not even a week later, and it's already, hey, we weren't involved in the negotiations. We don't feel like we have a need to honor them. So I heard, I don't know the veracity of this, that Israel was already planning some attacks on Iran. So, I mean, just crazy. It's crazy, but gosh, the world is something else. So all I can tell you is be cautious. There are lots of warnings going out. They've already put up some barricades around the Treasury Department, around the White House. We don't know why. However, we do know that there, along with the fatwa, we have probably the activation of some terrorist cells, possibly up to 1,000 here in the U.S., that are going to try to make October 7th look like kindergarten. And so, it's a lot of people are saying July 4th because there's fireworks involved. And so when you're shooting off rifles and fireworks, they kind of have a tendency to sound a little bit alike. People won't be too. People will be gathered in tight confines on July 4th, both for the parades as well as for the fireworks. This is a fantastic book, The Attack by Kurt Schleicher. Is it Schleicher? I'm not that far into it, but let me tell you, what he did, he did the same thing that Annie Jacobsen did. If you remember, we did Nuclear Warfare by Annie Jacobsen. So what Kurt has done with The Attack is he has tried to take known facts and put them in a fictionalized story. And so he's trying to present his facts in a fictional way. So it's a fictional book, but it's a nonfiction book, But golly, he talks about 3 waves. He talks about the first wave will be, just common terror attacks. And he doesn't mention it, but Sarah Adams from CIA, she says that, she thinks that there's going to be terror attacks. And then the secondary groups will be at the hospitals where the people from those terror attacks are going to be treated. And then they're going to attack a second time at the hospitals and try to catch as many of the physicians and EMS people, as well as the people who have already been injured in one way or another. Then Kurt says that the second one, because everybody's scared and won't go out in public because of the attacks on day one, they're going to focus their attacks on day two in residential areas. Pretty much the same as they did on October 7th in Israel. They went house to house, just beheading and all that kinds of stuff. And then day three, they'll attack our infrastructure. So all I want to do is I just want to caution you, be aware at all times. A really good, they're talking here in one chapter, and he says that all you have to do is take out a couple cars on the freeway, and they stop. So a sniper takes out the drivers on a couple cars, they have a crash, they stop, traffic is backed up. Then all you have to do is walk down the line of traffic, and all these people are stuck in their cars and don't have anywhere to move, and just sitting ducks. Well, that probably won't work here in Texas. I'm going to say that probably 50% of us or more carry. So that may not work here in Texas, but in other areas it might. Okay, it's enough time for people to migrate over. Let's see who all's here. And Scott Hummer was first on the other one. Thank you, Scott. You're always one of the first. Sumi is here. Little Lone Prepper, Utah Mike, Laura Mannion. You know what, Laura? I am in YouTube right now, so we can add as a moderator, add as a standard moderator. All right, congratulations, Laura Mannion. You are now a standard moderator. So let's see if that shows up. Go ahead and post something. Let's see if your name turns blue. Theoxerus is here. What a fantastic supporter. Thank you, sir. Holly Ivans and says we have 12. Probably a whole bunch of people probably exercising operational security and not letting us know that they're here. Okay, good. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for and so remember, we just want people. It's okay to disagree. It is completely okay to disagree. People approach things from different angles. Everybody has a different set of filters with which they see things. Disagreement is okay. Arguments are not. Okay. Arguments are not okay. Disrespecting another person is not okay. I can say, hey, I disagree with you. But if I say, hey, I think you're a bonehead, that's saying I disagree, but it's not a respectful way to do that. So if they say, hey, you're a bonehead, or it's start name calling or anything like that, they're gone. Just we don't want that here. We've got a very good group of people. And so chat amongst yourselves, but just remember, be kind, polite, and respectful with each other. Hello, VIX user ID. Welcome. Good to see you. That's the first time for you that I can tell, or I can remember. But anyhow, so that's the bad news about this week coming up. We had something exciting happen yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Or was it this morning? I got lost in time. Our washing machine went out. It's 10 years old. So we got on Costco.com and we ordered a new washer and dryer. We thought it was going to be, no, it was yesterday. We thought it was going to be delivered tomorrow. Evidently, Helen didn't hit confirm. So now it's going to be delivered on July 3rd, the Thursday before July 4th. And so that's been quite an experience trying to get everything, because the laundry room is prepper storage. And so here I am, not supposed to lift anything over 10 pounds yet. I'm right at the last week of that. So I figured, well, I can lift some cases, put them on a dolly and get them into another room so that when they come to install the new washer dryer, they don't know all the stuff I keep in my laundry room. So that's been moved and we're ready for them to bring it day after tomorrow, I guess it is. The other good news, got all kinds of great news. So I got a call from the attorney today. Everything's good to go. I should receive my demand payment letter from the closing of the sale of my old store. So I sold it, and the new buyer did not fulfill the contract. And so I had a cash award. She has not paid the cash award. So now that she's selling the store, I can go to the escrow agent and submit my court order that she pay me a restitution for a breach of contract. And so I've done that. The attorney called me. I should receive a wire transfer of that money tomorrow or Wednesday. So I'm very, very happy about that. And two more really exciting things. So remember that our book that we did for the Fiction Book Club at the end of June, the last Thursday in June, was volume 2 of the Blue Dawn series, okay, by Blaine Pardoe. I tell you, I love those books. I think they rival with Animal Farm and 1984, George Orwell's writings. This guy is phenomenal. He put a comment on the video today. Thank you for the kind words about my books. Glad you liked them. And so I'm very happy that evidently he watched this and he's satisfied with my review of his book. I sent a message to Franklin Horton, one of my absolute favorite authors, along with Blaine Pardoe, a couple others, John Grammer, he's been on here several times, A. American, and then Stephen Smith, a lot of great authors. Almost every book that we've done, the author has either given us a review of the book, or they've been on here for a interview. And but anyhow, so I got a note back from Franklin Horton. We're doing Locker 9, which is the beginning, actually one of the very first books he wrote. We did the Borrowed World series, which was the third series that he wrote. We did that as our first book series that we reviewed of Franklin Horton's. So we're going to go back to the very, very beginning now. We're going to do Locker 9. That's going to be our book for the end of June. And so Mr. Horton was kind enough to get on and send me a message and say, hey, let me know, have a drawing on that evening on Thursday, the last Thursday of the month, when you do your book review of Locker 9, and have a drawing, and I will gather some mailing addresses and everything else, and I will send an autographed copy of Locker 9 to a lucky person who is at that book review. So one of you will receive, one of you who was there on the last Thursday of this month when we review Locker 9, phenomenal book. Look at, I mean, I got good tabs. I got a 5x8 card with all kinds of information in here that he just really chock full of great prepper advice, just unbelievable stuff. And so somebody here is one of you is going to receive a personally autographed copy of that book when you are here on the last Thursday of the month. Hello, Holly Ivins. Yes, he does. John Grammer has a channel. Franklin Horton, by the way, is also a member of AMRON, the American Radio Readout organization. Operators Network, and as is Joe Alton, the doctor. So, you know, and PrepperNet. I don't know if any of you are familiar with PrepperNet, but go to preppernet.org, I believe. And both Joe Alton as well as Franklin Horton are speakers there. So, I mean, I am so happy that Franklin Horton's going to give us a book. So look forward to that. Okay, let's. So here we are for this one. Thank you, Sue Me. I appreciate that. Okay, chapter 13 of Survival Theory. And so chapter 13 is additional Bob items to consider. He said, make sure you have a large quantity of survival seeds in your Bob. So there are a couple companies that do sell survival seeds. I'll put a link to a company that I use in the chat after we get done here this evening. He says on a side note, and I have to, I am a precious metals guy. Okay, I have to agree with the logic he puts here, and I wholeheartedly agree with it, and I think it's a wise thing. One of the things we don't do is when we talk about preparedness, we don't talk about the scenario, and we don't talk about where we are in the timeline. In this case, he doesn't give us a scenario, but we do know what the timeline is, and that's very early on in the events. So he says, leave your gold and bullion at home or stashed at your retreat. He doesn't say don't have it. He says leave it stashed, okay? Leave it cached, if you will. No one is going to trade food for your stockpiled silver and gold bullion, not to mention the significant amount of weight that's going to add to your Bob, until a long time after SHTF. So he agrees with me. There is a timeline. It may not have immediate value. However, as society redevelops, as markets reemerge, and we get away from barter to more market-based economies, yes, any kind of valid money, and money is gold, silver, it can be coins and bills, but anyhow, it will have value eventually. So it's just that not at the very beginning, not in your bug out bag. Um, he also says two unnecessary items he sees a lot of people putting in their bug out bags are fishing kits and snare kits. I wholeheartedly agree. And he comes down at the bottom and says yo-yos. I think I've talked about yo-yos a couple times. I'll put a link for that too. I have two yo-yos. I want to say two, probably more. I probably have more than two, but I have at least two yo-yos in every bug out bag. And I know I have a package of 4 in my I'm never coming home bag. So a yo-yo is basically a tripwire type of a spring activated reel. You hang it from a limb in a tree, pull out the line, put a hook, a sinker, and some sort of bait on it, throw it in the water. When the fish bites on it and then gets basically hooked on the hook and pulls on it, that sudden pulling action causes the spring to automatically reel in, and then that fish is brought up to the tree limb where you were, or where you have it tied off. So it's mechanical fishing while you're not there, okay? That makes sense to me in a bug out situation. Sitting there with casting with a rod reel or having line, one of those little sucrets, fishing kits where you're going to attach it to a pole, makes no sense to me. They're going to get away, and you're going to waste your time sitting there trying to catch it. He strongly recommends you get a copy of Air Force Survival Manual 64-4, which can be purchased on Amazon for $15. I'll put a link for it. By the way, if you click on that link for the Amazon, then I get 2% referral fee for that. Remember, I haven't said it in quite a while. 25% of all the money I receive from this channel, whether it be Amazon sales or from Google for YouTube, 25% goes to St. Vincent de Paul, 25% goes to the Caring Place, which is our county food bank, and 25% goes to the Salvation Army. So, I give my money away to help other people. So anytime you watch one of those commercials, anytime you buy something that I give you a link to, just understand you're helping to feed people who are in need. We're planning OCIA, used to be called RCIA, Roman Catholic Initiation for Adults, and now we call it something else, OCIA. I forget what the OC stands for. O stands for. But we're getting ready. We're going to start our classes August 31st, and so Deacon John told me which class he wants me to return and teach the same classes I did last time. Then we're adding some more, and so one of the ones I wanted to teach is the saints. My patron saint is Louis IX of France. Okay. And Louis IX of France was considered crazy. They wanted him dethroned because he would go through the streets of Paris and gather 200 homeless, poor people and bring them in to eat dinner with him every day. So Louis IX felt that his obligation was to his people, and he fed them. And so when I was 8 years old and chose Louis IX, the guy who goes around feeding people, as my patron saint and inviting them in to eat in his home, 200 beggars every night eating at the royal table. I think that's significant. So that's kind of carried through my life. And so also St. Vincent de Paul, which is the organization I belong to where we go out and help people who are in need. And so, that's kind of been a lifelong thing, is helping people who are in need. Okay. He also recommends the SAS Survival Handbook. You can get a used copy of Air Force Pamphlet 64-5. Get a listing, or you can usually get them at most grocery stores. When you're staying there and there's nothing to do, waiting in line for that other person to unload their $300 worth of food off the cart onto the conveyor belt, they have all these books and magazines and folders and everything else. Here they have, the birds, the snakes, the edible plants. pick up one of those. It's usually a trifold. Pick up one of those and make sure you have it for the edible plants in case you need to go foraging in the area where you live. Hi, Kaylin. Welcome. Kaylin did a fantastic video last night or live on Polish MREs. I think it was menu number 6 that you did. And so it's always interesting seeing how other countries do their MREs like we do. He says, make sure you have chapstick and hand lotion in your bug out bag as well. I go one further, make sure you have foot powder. Foot powder and extra clean socks. A soldier lives on his stomach and his feet. And so, Kaylin's taking care of us with the MREs, and then good socks and good foot powder are going to be extremely important to you. Make sure you have a good knife sharpener. There are a couple that are good. One of the things I like is, let me see, I can't take it out of the sheath because that would violate a YouTube rule. But one of the things I like is the Mira Bushcraft Black. So when you get it, it comes with a fire steel, a ferrocerium rod, and on the other side, it does have a diamond embedded sharpener. So, this is a $60, $70 knife. Mora makes, it's the only full tang knife, one of the very few full tang knives. I think there's only 2 of them that Mora makes. So this is a full tang knife as well. I just keep that right here in case I need something here in the house to go quickly. So make sure you have a good knife sharpener. Hi, Patty. Welcome. Sorry for the confusion. Yeah, we were on the other one, and for some reason, it wouldn't hook up my camera and my microphone, so I shut that down. I thought I shut it down and came over here. So thank you for joining us over here. You are at the right place. Kaylin, what's your opinion of the SAS survival book? Do you think that it gives you all the bushcraft stuff you think you need, or is it too focused on basically escape and survival? The Lansky recommends the Lansky sharpener, which is outstanding. But what I do like about the Lansky sharpener, I have one, is it's got a little rod on the side that folds up so that if you have a serrated knife, you can use that rod to get into the serrations. That's really fantastic with the Lansky. Stanley has one as well. They look, or I'm sorry, Smith. Smith has one that looks almost exactly like the Lansky. And it also has the rod for the serrated knives. Oh, next thing. Smith's 50264 manual knife sharpener. And it also has an angle assistance, so you can get anywhere from 14 to 24 degrees on your knives. What I have been told is 20 degrees is what you want for a kitchen knife. 25 degrees is what you want for a bushcraft knife or a survival knife. I like to keep mine right around 23, 24 degrees as far as the angle. Now, I also highly prefer the Scandinavian grind, which it comes down on the grind and then it has a secondary bevel. And that's the one I keep at the 23 degrees. But it makes for things like making fire. Boy, my mind is going. When you're cutting off small portions of the wood, Kaylin, I know you know what I'm talking about. Theoxeros, I know you know what I'm talking about. And you're shaving off these curls that you're going to use for fire starting. Yeah, not tinder, but it's called. Somebody will remember. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. He likes Write in the Rain brand of notebooks. Keep that in your. Good evening, South Florida, Doug. Good to see you. Welcome. Fantastic group to chat with. Feel free to chat with them. Not everybody stays on the topic I'm talking about, but that's okay. As long as you learn something while you're here, that's what's most important. Feather sticks. Thank you, Kaylin. Yes, feather sticks. That's what I'm talking about. See, I knew you guys had the right answer. You guys saved me so many times. You're just fantastic. Thank you. Don't forget, you also need a way to recharge your flashlight and your radio batteries. Goal Zero makes a solar panel and inverter system that you can basically throw over the back of your backpack while you're hiking. And it's got 3 panels that just flap over your backpack so that while you are walking, as long as those panels are facing towards the sun, you are recharging your flashlight or your radio or your cell phone or whatever you might have with you that's electronic. So I'll put the Goal Zero link that I have in the comments down below. Okay, let me get up here. So that's pretty much it. Don't forget that this guy has 2 pages of stuff that he recommends that you have in your Bob. Okay, chapter 14, fire sticks. Fire sticks, fire sticks, fire sticks. So there's a lot of good information in here. There's a lot of discussion between, do you want an M16 AR-15 platform, or do you want an AK-47 platform? Or I've got a Mini 14. I've had it for years. I love the Mini 14. I also have a Ruger AR-15, and both of those are phenomenal bang bangs. The Ruger Mini 14, mine is so old that there are lots of great innovations and additions to it since mine. I bought mine in 1982, and so that's how old it is. That's what, gosh, over 40 years, 43 years old. Little on prepper, don't worry, because it's little things like chapstick is one. You can carry, that's one of the 2 pages, and then string. A lot of it's small stuff. It's not all big stuff. So he recommends, if whichever platform you decide on, don't go out and spend a whole bunch of money on aftermarket kits trying to beef it up. I was just watching a video by he's an ex-Army doctor. He lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Goshen prepping. I was just watching him, and he was talking about, don't go out and buy all this tactical stuff. That's like me. I don't have a helmet. I'm going to wear my CERT helmet. I don't have any body armor. I am not looking to be tactically involved. I am not looking to be a Minuteman or a militiaman or anything else. As a matter of fact, I applied to one group. They accepted me. I found out they were militia. I said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I'm a prepper. I believe I have things to defend my home. As a matter of fact, I've ordered one more triple arm. You'll see it on my pantry haul for this Saturday. Yeah, so I've ordered one more. Oh, wow. Kaylin says she shot a friend's AR heavy. That's unbelievable. One of the nice things about the AR-15, now it may have been an AR-10. AR-10s can get heavy. AR-10 is a 7.62 by 51, which is basically a 308, and they were a lot bigger, a lot heavier. But the AR-15 is a 5.56 millimeter, which is basically just a little bit bigger than a 22. It's 0.223. And the recoil on it is so soft that when we went to basic training, the drill instructor actually put it in his crotch to fire it to show us that there was no damage, that the recoil was very non-sequential. And then, of course, the weight of the magazine and the weight of the ammunition, that's what really sold the Army on it. Hello, Salem's Cave. Welcome. Good evening. Nice to see you. Yeah, if you had a heavy one, I'm going to guess it was an AR-10. Now, here's something as you're planning this. Let's go ahead and finish up what he has to say on these. Now, I want to give you my personal opinion on it. Watch out for people, experts on YouTube, even me. Do research, okay? Don't believe everything they say. Validate it, resource it. My best recommendation for those of you with the means is the 600 lumen Surefire P2X Fury. which is a single mode option flashlight for $149. He's talking about a flashlight that attaches to your weapon. Personal point of view, I disagree with that. At nighttime, if you shine a light at your opponent and they are armed, they are going to shoot at your light. If your light is on your weapon, okay, then they're basically going to shoot at your weapon. What I do is, and this is, I got to reach over here for one of my flashlights. Y'all know I keep a stash of flashlights over here. So I hold one flashlight this way, okay, not this way. At night, I hold it in my left hand this way, and I can get it off to the side of my body. So that if they start shooting at the flashlight, they're not shooting at me or my weapon. And then I can hold my weapon. If it's an AR-15, I've got the pistol grip. It's in my shoulder. I can still do it. I have iron sights on my Ruger right now. I've got some 4x64. I'm sorry, 4x10 sights that I have that I need to put on it and get it zeroed. But my Mini 14, I got sights on it. I don't want anything on it that's going to show where that end is. Bad enough. Make sure you get a flash suppressor so that you minimize. You're not going to eliminate. You want to minimize the amount of flash coming out of the end of the barrel. That's another thing that's going to give away your position at night when you fire. So make sure you have your flashlight off to the side, not where you are. So I disagree with them on that. If you have a night scope or if you have something like a red dot or something like that, okay, so don't use green. You can see green. You can see the streak of it as it goes towards your intended target. If you're using red, as far as laser sights, the red can only be seen at the point of impact or where it originates, and you don't see it from the side. For a battle rifle, check out the 920 Lumen Nitcore MT10A, $55 on Amazon. But like I said, I prefer to have mine handheld. Yeah, the FNC, gosh, yeah, and the FAL too. Both of them had, but they were both 308. So that's quite a difference. I think the FNC 1A1 was 30-06, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, so I would expect a little bit of a hammer hitting me in the shoulder when I pulled the trigger on that one. And then he gives a couple more flashlights he recommends. The Night Core. A pistol-mounted light, I'd highly recommend the Surefire X300 Ultra. I'm definitely not putting a light on my pistol, especially at my age. Look, you're holding something that's going to weigh around 7 pounds, okay, 4 to 7 pounds, and you're holding it. And if you're my age, you're going to have a little bit of a sag, which means you're going to want to have a two-hand grip, okay? So even with a two-hand grip, at my age, I'm not going to hold my arms out too long, trying to sight a target. Okay. So there's a lot of weakness there. You need to train. If you have not stood and held your pistol out for 15 minutes, then you don't have the muscles to put a light on top of it. Okay. So you got to train regularly with your weapons. Make sure that you have the strength to keep that weapon at the ready, aiming for at least 5 minutes, but preferably for 15. Build up your muscles, build up that body, so just make sure you have your muscles all tightened up and ready for those things. Okay. He talks about a guy who has 10,000 rounds of ammunition stored. Let me tell you, ammunition is important, but if you don't have enough mags for it, then you're probably, that ammunition is going to go to waste. The Army, we carry, at least before I retired, we carried 7 30-round magazines. So we had one in the rifle and 2 3-round magazines replenishment. So 7 30-round magazines is 210 rounds. So, I can have 1,000 rounds back in my tent, but I've only got 210 rounds with me. And if those 210 rounds, if of those 180 of them are still in the box and I've only got one magazine, I'm basically without a weapon. So make sure you have enough magazines. I would say 5 to 7 magazines per weapon that you intend to use. Even your handguns, make sure you have a minimum of 3. I think my Smith & Wesson, I have 3. For the Ruger Security 9, I have 5, 7. I have 7 for the Ruger Security 9. So, just make sure you have plenty of magazines. That's going to be critical to you, especially in a firefight. If you ever watch John Wick, I mean, he puts on a belt and he probably carries for his magazines. Okay, he probably carries a dozen magazines, and he's always picking up magazines. And miraculously, everybody else is firing the same weapon that he is, and so he can pick up their magazines and use them inside his weapon. One of the things that I do, gosh, I should maybe I did a short on it. I buy these metallic pins. They have metallic silver and metallic gold ink on them. And I really like the metallic zinc, metallic silver. So on every one of the bottoms of my magazines, okay, I will write, for example, RS9. That's Ruger Security 9. So I know that magazine only goes to my Ruger Security 9. Or I'll have SWMP, Smith & Wesson M&P, okay, which is my normal concealed carry weapon. I also have G21, which is for my Glock 21. Now it's difficult to confuse that with the others because Glock 21 is a 45 ACP, whereas the Smith & Wesson and the Ruger are both 9mm. So then the same thing, you've got, for example, my Mini 14 magazines won't fit in the AR-15 and vice versa. So you got, so I put M14, AR-15 in the bottom of those magazines. And so I strongly recommend you do that so that you can take a look at them. You don't have to examine them. It's just almost automatic. You can grab the right ones that you're going to put in your belt when you go out with the right magazine, the right ammunition for the weapon that you have in your hands. Let me go back and catch up with the comments. And okay. So Patty's Garden did make it over. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Patty. Gosh, it makes me feel bad. But I probably should have used StreamYard tonight. I've only used it once this month. And I could have used it again this evening. I didn't, and that's my fault. I apologize for that. For what I would need being in the city, it's okay, but I want the SAD Urban Survival book. I'm unaware of that, so share that with me a little bit more. South Florida Doug, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. And Salem's Cave, I think I said hi to. Is that Salem, Massachusetts? I took my daughter up there the year before we studied American history here in the U.S. I decided that for our vacation, we would go up to the Boston area. And so we went to Boston. We did Lexington Concord and the Mayflower and, of course, Breeds Hill, Bunker Hill. And then we went up to Salem and the House of the Seven Gables and the witch trials and all that kinds of stuff. And it was great that she could see a lot of the stuff before she studied in school about the history of the United States. And so I thought that was really, really great. Okay, so Kaylin says that the reason that one was so heavy was because she had it all tricked out, custom built. Yeah, remember, everything you add to your weapon adds weight. And I can tell you, 21 years as a soldier, one of the things you're going to be most concerned about, you may not be concerned about it for the first 5 minutes, well, maybe you are, is weight, because an ounce after an hour becomes a pound, and a pound after 2 hours becomes a ton. That's just the way it is. When you're out beating the bush, you're looking for ways to get rid of weight, not to add it. So the more you trick out your gun, the more of a defensive weapon it becomes, the more you want to sit in your home and take that into consideration. Now, here's another thing that I want you all to take into consideration when you're looking at bang bangs to defend yourself in your home. What is the typical range that you're going to be shooting? Okay, so out here, okay, so out here I've got a horse farm. I can, as far as I can see, okay, I'm going to say there's probably a tree line 500 yards. Okay, so I can probably see, 500 yards is what I need to shoot this way. This way, there's a cattle ranch, but I've got still a little bit of this subdivision, probably about 5 houses before we get to that. So, I'm not going to do too well. So it's probably going to be more close infighting here. This way, I've got a big hay field. Okay. They don't put any animals out there. They just grow hay and cut it and everything else. I can probably see 1,000 yards out that direction. Now, this direction, we've got another cattle ranch. Okay. So we've got 2 roads and then cattle. And so I've got once I get outside of this little enclave, I've got wide open, except for behind me, it's wide open. So I'm going to have urban style fighting inside of this little 105, 110 house enclave. And then everything around us is going to be long range after that. So you've got to take that into consideration. What is your max effective range of the system you choose? What is the firepower, magazine accessibility? How heavy is it going to be? Are you going to carry it with you and use it? Are you going to carry it in a carry position, in a ready position? That can wear you out if it's a heavy gun, like Kaylin's talking about. Take all that into consideration. Don't just go out and say, I want this weapon, this AR-15 or whatever. Talk to some people, talk to some military, talk to police, if you have any police or sheriff's friends, and just, here's my situation. What do you think is going to be best for it? Inside the house, I have a 20 gauge, and you've seen me, I got 25 more rounds of number 1 buck. I prefer number 3 buck, but I get what's available at the store. Number 3 buck is difficult to find. But number 1 buck in a 20 gauge is what I keep here. I've got a bandolier with 50 rounds on the bandolier. It probably weighs 12 pounds, 12, 13 pounds. And I got to let the dog out. Helen we normally keep him locked up in the bedroom when I'm live. She just let the dog out, and the dog's scratching at the back door. So just 1 second. Mommy didn't let you out? And of course, she starts barking at all the neighbors the minute she goes outside. I normally bring her in when that happens, but I don't know what's going on where Helen brought her out, but life is. Let me see. Yeah, Utah Mike brings up a good point. I'm reading, he says, my flashlights have USB rechargeable these days. Absolutely. I've shown that. So I used to, my go-to flashlight used to be Nebo. As a matter of fact, this was my go-to flashlight. It's a flat one. Forget the name of it. I bought a case. The first 2 of them in it had defective on-off switches. And so I tried to return those, and they gave me a hard time. I no longer buy Nebos. But this is a rechargeable USB. Okay. So there's the USB thingy. So that I really, really appreciate that, having a rechargeable. Now I do, this is an Arcfeld. So now I make most of my purchases from Olight. And of course, that's also a rechargeable USB magnet. So all of my more recent purchases as far as flashlights, this slide is this is 3 batteries, 3 AA's in a weird configuration. Oh, wow. I thought I turned it off and it just turned itself back on. Maybe that one has a switch problem too. Okay, this is another Olight that is USB powered. This is a Nebo USB rechargeable. This Nebo is a battery. I forget what kind. Oh, this is three AAA batteries. So I have a battery recharging station and batteries, so that when SHTF happens, I can plug them in to my solar system. Gosh, I'm having a hard time getting this closed. I'll forget that. I'll get that after the show's over. And then this one is also battery operated, I believe. This is called the Inspector, but it's a nice little. Oh, I haven't turned this one on yet. So basically, there's a plastic thing between the contacts and the battery that when you want to start using it, you got to pull that off and activate it. And I haven't done that. But that's called the Inspector. It's got a nice thin little beam. Let me see. So Theoxmus agrees. He says there's no need to hang a target on your weapon, so no need to put a flashlight or anything like that on your weapon. So Kaylin says Osite, is that Osite or Olight, has a new red dot that has a replaceable, probably battery. I don't know. Yeah, she says battery afterwards. So I did not know that Olight. I have an Olight. I did get an Olight light that I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it can attach to a weapon. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, Holly's doing archery training. That is phenomenal. Um, I have this. I keep arguing with myself, and unfortunately, it's like a 13-person argument going on in my brain because of my multiple personalities. But anyhow, I'm trying to decide whether there are two things I'm trying to decide. I want them, but I don't need them. One is they've got a spear made by uh, Ontario Knife, I believe. OKC, Ontario Knife Company, at Academy. $50 for the spear. Oh, it's beautiful looking. I think, gosh, that would be nice. But then I said, nah, will I live that long? Will I live long enough to use it? Because, go through ammunition first. The other one that I really like is I've got two tomahawks, but another one, I think that's Ontario Knife Company too, makes a Viking tomahawk, a Viking battle axe. It's about $100. And, I watched a video from Bjorn. What's Bjorn's last name? He comes from Norway. He's of Viking blood. And so he did a half-hour video on how Vikings used their battle axes in actual battle. And so that there's a reason why it has that flared tip at the top. That was because you could use it to thrust, like with a spear, but it also had the flared portion down at the bottom so that you could reach over your opponent's shield and grapple the shield and pull it down. And so I thought, whoa, that's really cool. But how many people are going to be in a post-apocalyptic world are going to have shields that I need to pull down, right? So my tomahawks will be good enough. I probably don't need $100 Viking battle axe. Yeah, it becomes a challenge, But gosh, they keep that spear right over by the ammunition at Academy. That's something. This is tempting. It's Satan tempting me. So I don't know that much about the Burnus, Little and Prepper, and Laura Mannion. So I'm going to leave it to just the conversation that you guys have. If there's anybody else that has more information on it than I do, then I would encourage you to answer that. So Holly Ivan says that she has a burner and it's perfectly nice. I am going to look on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Amazon. Did I close down my Amazon? No, there it is. I am looking at a book, and the book I'm looking at for once I get these 5 that I have going here is How Civil Wars Start. Um, so that's where Amazon is right now. How Civil Wars Start by and How to Stop Them by Barbara F. Walter, $16.53 paperback. So okay, so the Berna is the kinetic, less than lethal gun for home and personal defense, and uses CO2 cartridges. Wow, I had a Crossman, um, looked like a 45 caliber pistol, used CO2 cartridges, and it could fire either BBs, 22 caliber pellets, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was. It was .22 caliber pellets, and it also had darts that it would fire. And so one night, I had it in my bedroom, and this is when we lived next doors to Lloyd, the guy who built the cinder block fallout shelter in his backyard, the civil defense guy that got me into prepping. This is back in 1963. My mother and sister were in my mom's room, and she screamed, and so I don't know why. I guess I felt like I was a defender. Dad was off in Korea, I believe, stationed in Korea at the time. I was on a short tour. So I picked up my little Crossman pistol. It looked like a 45, ran into Mom's bedroom. And there was this guy staring through the Venetian blinds into my mother's bedroom. And my sister and my mother in there. So I picked up my BB pistol and pointed it, and he thought it was a 45. Man, oh man, I've never seen anybody run that fast before in my life. So any kind of a self-defense thing is going to be fantastic in a post-apocalyptic world. So I would recommend. The other thing is, I know a lot of people say you need to have a hunting rifle. I would say that your chances are what you're going to use for self-defense, you're only going to want to carry one rifle. You don't want to carry one on your left shoulder, say this one's for hunting, and one on your right shoulder, say this one's for fighting. Probably whatever you want to use is going to be used for both hunting and fighting. And just as he says in his book, and I strongly agree with it, don't waste your time fishing unless you're going to do it automated, like with a Berna. I'm sorry, Berna. I'm reading the chat. Like with a yo-yo system, so you don't have to attend it. Okay, it attends itself. That's the great thing about snares, and traps is that you don't have to attend them; they attend to themselves. So if you're going to hunt, it's going to be snares and traps. If you're going to fish, it's going to be yo-yo, and then the rest of the time you're going to be working your tail off. I also have a problem, and kind of an extension of that. People are concerned about entertainment. Well, let me tell you something. Once SHTF happens, you're going to be taking care of your garden. You're going to be guarding your home. You're going to be collecting firewood. You're going to be digging trenches to get rid of human waste. You're going to be working your tail off from sun up to sundown. Then you're not going to get a whole bunch of sleep because you got to stay in guard. Okay. So somebody's got to be awake all night long. So usually probably 1 to 2 hour stints. But, my case, guard duty always happened right in the middle of my sleep time. So you never got a real straight sleep. So, I don't think you're going to have much time for entertainment. You're going to be worn out. And that's just the way it is. Card games and stuff like that just aren't going to be there. Now, I will say that you do need, if you're going to have young children, probably up until 7th or 8th grade. So toddlers to young children, you're probably going to need something to keep them active. I would recommend that it be learning activities and then some games, but if you're going to use games, make the games learning activities. And that way, one of the people, maybe somebody like me who's disabled and probably not going to get around that much, can probably be designated as you're going to take care of the children. and you're going to keep them busy. You're going to educate them. You're going to do all this other kinds of stuff. So that's probably what's going to happen there. Let me see. Lincolnton, North Carolina, police shot and killed a man who shot a woman multiple times at a park. The shooting happened at Betty G. Ross Park around 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. This was less than a quarter mile from me. Wow. Little known prepper. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, Utah Mike, isn't that the truth? We don't even get a full night's sleep now. As a matter of fact, I mentioned it to my doctor. So I'm having complications from both of my surgeries. So the hiatal hernia surgery up here, there were 3 different hernias that were repaired. He said that there was an 85% chance that they would solve the coughing, the wicked coughing I have. Like that. Boy, wasn't that psychological, psychosomatic. But anyhow, he said there's an 85% chance to be cured. It didn't. So I'm still suffering from that. As a matter of fact, it gets worse when I lie down. I'm having a hard time breathing. And so I don't know if the lung issues are related to the esophageal issues or not, but I have to see a pulmonologist here shortly. And so we'll see how that goes. Anyhow, I'm having some complications from those hiatal hernia surgeries. The surgery I had down below, the sutures fell out, and so I've got 2 areas that have gaps, and went in and had those super glued. And so, we've got a little bit of problem there. I'm not supposed to be lifting things at all, nothing more than 10 pounds. And, but life sometimes does not let you cooperate with what the doctors want. So, Kaylin says homeschooling will be the way to go for kids. That'll be the only way. I think in most SHTF situations, public education is going to go down the drain. Think about that now. Start making plans for that now. What I did, and of course, then my grandchildren moved away to New Jersey. But what I did was I was getting high school books at the secondhand bookstore. I was getting all of the workbooks. I got 3 of the workbooks for each kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, first, second, third, on up to, I think they go up as high as 6th grade. At our used bookstore, they have an entire area devoted to homeschooling. So I could pick up the curriculum and outlines and everything else on what was needed to homeschool after SHTF. As we approached each year, so Z's going to be in 2nd grade, Strat's going to be in kindergarten. So as those years approach, then I give them the workbooks so that they can work on them on their own and keep that available to them. Have a tub full of calculators, protractors, pencils, pens, markers, paper, notebooks, theme books, spiral bound notebooks, graph paper, you name it. So I've got all these tubs of school supplies out in the garage. So we will be able to train. I also spend a lot of time at the secondhand bookstore looking for good fiction that I consider good literature. Let me get the dog. She's going to disturb all this, everybody else. Well, you know what? We're at 58 minutes. I'll let her continue to bark. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. But I went and, like Herman Melville and George Orwell and all these great authors. So I went to the secondhand bookstore, picked up all those, John Steinbeck. And we have all those books in our library now so that I can have good literature. As a matter of fact, I put out a request to y'all on one of my videos saying, hey, send me a list of the books you think I should add to have them available for the children as they grow. What are the things that you'd like to see them exposed to? Came up with a great list. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Helen's going out to get Addie. No, she's on the phone. So probably house phone. So that's got to be her older sister. Okay. So that's where we are. Next week, we will come back and we're going to do Chapter 15, Tactical Gear and Clothing, and Chapter 16, Long-Term Food. We've got one more week after that. 17 is chickens, rabbits, and goats. And chapter 18 is survival retreat recommendations. We've only got 4 more chapters to go, 2 chapters a week, 2 chapters left, or 2 weeks left in this book. I'll try to decide whether or not we're going to do Survival Theory Volume 2 or not, or go on to another one. I will tell you what, man, this is scary. This is fiction, but it's based on reality, things that he has ascertained. So we could do it either way, fiction or nonfiction, but man, I tell you, it's something. This is also a fantastic book that I've got going right now. And so, that's another one we might want to consider. Another book I have going right now is Total Resistance by Von Dach. And that's how the Swiss are going to fight any kind of an invasion. All kinds of good books out there. I'll try to decide by next Tuesday or next Monday which book we're going to do for a follow-on, so you'll have time to order it and catch up. Okay, so that's where we are. Remember that we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please continue to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. So, Pastor of Reality, hello, welcome. Mountains of Arkansas. I tell you, the mountains of Branson, Missouri scared the living daylights out of me. So, welcome. Good to see you. To see you again. Vic's user ID. Welcome. Good to see you as well. So we do the nonfiction book every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time, and then we do the the fiction at 8 p.m. the last Thursday of the month. So the last Thursday of this month, we're going to do Volume 1 of the Locker 9 series. Here it is, Franklin Horton's book, Locker 9. And to let you know, I told Franklin that we were going to do this. He was here. We interviewed him when we started his 3rd series, which is called The Borrowed World. And we interviewed him, and that was a fantastic interview. I let him know that we're going to do Locker 9. And so he has offered that whoever is here that night that we do the Locker 9 review will hold a drawing, and somebody is going to get, and you'll provide me with your shipping address. I'll provide it to him. Somebody's going to get a personally autographed copy of the book, Locker 9, for attending our last Thursday of the month book club, which will be the last Thursday of July. I think it's the 31st. So we're going to close with the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is the key. Ting, ting. I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome back. It is great to see you. I hope to see you at 8 o'clock Central next week when we start off with the next 2 chapters. Gosh, it's good to see you. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. Remember to keep your heads up. I'm afraid of July 4th. I really am afraid. So take care. Bye-bye.